Welcome back, guys, to another spooky movie review. And man, I'm watching VOD horror films again, and this time we're talking about The Bellkeeper. A group of friends travel to a secluded campsite to film a documentary. What they find is something much more sinister than they could ever imagine. Now, with that synopsis, you might think to yourself that this is going to be like a slasher film, you know, good old kids go into the woods and something demonic happens and they get stabby going. While the trailer does portray this movie as a traditional indie slasher film, what we get is a movie that is trying its hardest to be the next Ash vs. Evil Dead, but in a movie form. And does it work? I think you can already tell what the answer is going to be. Now, this movie is directed by Colton Tran, who also directed movies like Snowfalls, which I actually have a review for if you want to go check that out, and 8 Bodies. And if you haven't watched Snowfall before, I don't want to spoil it if you want to go check out my review for it, but that movie wasn't that good either. And you got this film, Bellkeeper, which there's elements in here that I want to like, and I actually do like, but what we end up getting is a movie that really is ambitious in what it wants to do, but with a runtime of over just a little bit of 90 minutes, it doesn't have enough time to flesh out that story. But let's get into that story because we have to talk about that. Now, like I said before, the trailer gives you an impression that this movie is going to be a traditional slasher film, and it doesn't turn out that way. And I think that's one of the problems because it gets a little jarring at points, because the first 15 minutes of the film is actually pretty entertaining and it actually kind of gets you in the mood. You're like, okay, this is a traditional slasher. Have we seen these plot points and these, scenarios before? Yes, but you're interested to see what is going to happen because you have this Bellkeeper that they are, building up and they're building the lore of, and you want to see it. And I just got to say this, okay, Randy Jakor, I'm sure he's a nice guy and everything, but he's not intimidating as a psycho killer ghost dude, just look at the dude. He looks like a nice guy. He looks like a dude you see at the store, help you get something from the top shelf. So I think we need to change his look. They should have changed his look. He's called the Bellkeeper. They should have changed him to something more like this. Yeah, now that's scary. But as the story goes on, you find out that this movie is not what it seems. And like I said in the beginning of the video, it tries to be something that it's not. It tries to be a horror comedy. And I feel like if they just marketed it that way as a horror comedy, then it might have been a little bit more easier pill to swallow. But then at the same time, as I think about that, I'm just thinking about how I don't really care about any of the characters. The story that they're portraying and they're trying to tell about the backstory of the Bellkeeper is nothing that we haven't seen before, and it's really generic. And you know me, guys, I don't mind generic stuff as long as you put a little tang, a little twist to it, or even if there is something the same and repetitive, as long as it's just interesting. You gotta have characters that I enjoy. This movie doesn't have characters that I enjoy. You gotta have like a monster, a big baddie, in this case the Bellkeeper, that is like an intriguing character that I want to care about. But we already changed his face, so you know how I feel about the Bellkeeper's character. It just feels disjointed, and that's like the big word that I would have to say for this movie, is just disjointed. Doesn't feel like it has any direction, and in the direction that it does has, it likes to just go in different ways. But guys, that is a short review for this one because there's not that much to say about this movie. But as always, the most important thing that I want to know is if you guys plan on watching this movie. Have you seen this movie before? Let me know in the comments down below if either of those. What do you think about like slasher villains, like those characters? Do they have to have like something unique about them for them to be interesting? Because I think of like the slasher icons like Ghostface or Michael Myers or Jason. They all have something very unique about them. I know they're all wearing a mask, but those masks look cool. But guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We're almost to 2,000 subscribers, and I would want you to join the community so we can talk about movies all the time. I talk about VOD, straight to VOD stuff, and man, this is gonna be a long week because I got a lot of stuff to talk to you guys about. But as always, guys, you know what to do. Keep watching movies.